Hey everyone, it's been a little while, but I am going to be doing a review of the LETOOTY video that came out yesterday. And also, if you could, just spread around my link. I need a couple more subscribers until I can start messing around on the community tab. So go ahead and hook me up with that if you could. Like, share, subscribe, whatever.
Today is July 7th, 2022.
I used to think that LETOOTY would say the date and the time because she was worried about not having that kind of information for her story. And I thought that she was just stupid and didn't know about metadata. But here's what I think is really the case. I think that she's stating the date and the time because she thinks the metadata can get altered or corrupted by the authority figures that are behind all the bad things in her life. So, but yeah, that's my current working theory. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm starving this morning, but since I don't have anything to smoke, I refuse to eat now.
Let me guess, you're doing that in order to guilt trip your mom into buying you weed because, she can't handle you not eating. And then also your Simpson here. You're definitely trying to guilt and manipulate people into doing what you want and to getting what you want. So there's that.
A couple of the days that I'd ate a lot, I had eaten a lot.
Oh, was that a little burp there?
I'd gotten up to 180 pounds. And now I'm dropping down to 176 this morning.
Yeah, I noticed you hadn't been gorging yourself on camera lately at expensive diners.
So I refuse to eat. I don't see the problem in that.
Yeah, if it was just you, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. You could stand to lose a few pounds, but you have a baby inside of you. You should probably not starve that or say that you're going to starve yourself on camera while you're being looked at very closely by the authorities and by those that are basically going to dictate what's happening with that baby after you're done with gestating it.
Um, I'm not going to do this without smoking medicinal marijuana. I'm not going to be forced into having a child without having my proper medication. And since I can't finance that because the federal government deems it as a narcotic still, which is insane because you have opioids on there and people on opioid addictions that cause more problems like Xanax and hydrocodone and, even alcoholism. Those cause more damage, and cigarette smoking causes more damage than medicinal marijuana. I shouldn't have to be reprimanded for all these things. I shouldn't have to be reprimanded for trying to survive.
Just say punished like a normal human being. God, reprimanded. You try to sound smart, and in doing so, you sound like an idiot. Just saying.
And just realized now, too, that, they threw the book at me years ago when I had gone to jail, when I was incarcerated for having reached out to my ex-husband to want to see my child and explained to him that his actions were demonic and the letters that they have, everything's on file. And if you go back and you look at it clearly through a psychological perspective, you understand that it's a woman pleading for her offspring, the offspring that she birthed, the offspring that she breastfed, the offspring that, she coddled.
One might also refer to them as a child and not offspring. It was your child, Letitia. Your offspring. Your offspring.
And took care of and doted on for 3.5 years. I'm clearly not in the wrong.
So let me get this straight. You're telling me that they were supposed to give a child back to a lady who was not able to take control of her own actions, act responsibly, not break the law, and assault people to get arrested in the first place? I kind of side with them. I don't think you should be around kids.
I may have said some things, but never have I actually threatened anyone physically.
Yeah, there's not a lot that's physically threatening about a 5'1" blob monster, but you know what? You have made threats to people's safety. You have made threats to people's lives. You have made threats to that child inside of you's life. You're a monster. You threaten death on a daily basis.
Let's be completely honest with one another. What he had done was not protecting her. What he had done was placed her in even more danger. Because the more and more I end up snapping.
When Letitia has done something horrible, she can look back on it and say, I snapped, and it's all okay. That's what snapped means, according to Letitia.
The more and more I'm going to send people your way so that they can do the devil's work.
I mean, what the fuck does that even mean? It is a veiled threat. You just said you were not threatening anyone, but that was a veiled threat of some kind, a fucking retarded one, but what?
So I don't have to get my hands dirty. Because they understand these demons on Earth, the ones that walk around.
Not the flying demons or the swimming demons?
They need something to look up to. They need something to do in order to compensate for what they've done in the past.
The word I think you meant was atone for the things they've done in the past. And what demons are atoning for what they've done in the past? You're all over the board when it comes to theology, Letitia, and you need to shut up about it because you make yourself look stupid.
And like I've clearly demanded, he should be dead, my ex-husband.
I may have said some things, but never have I actually threatened anyone physically.
For leaving me with 2 loaded guns and leaving everyone to believe that I was the one that was the issue when in actuality suffering through plenty of marital abuse.
What's marital abuse? I mean, like, he was mean to you?
And neglect. And when he was off gallivanting going to concerts, I was stuck at home breastfeeding our child.
You weren't stuck at home. You didn't want to go to the concert, and you used breastfeeding as an excuse not to. You could have hired a babysitter.
You're not going to tell me that he deserved custody and that I deserved to not see her for the last 6 years when she'll be 10 years old this year.
Your ex-husband was rightfully awarded custody, and you haven't seen your daughter in that long because you just can't get your shit together. I don't know, but you can see your daughter. You have to just, put in a little work, but no one's doing it for you, so it's not happening, huh?
And then you forced another child upon me without a father.
Who the fuck are you talking about? Are you talking about your ex-husband forced this?
And you wanted to see how my reaction would be, right? It's rejection, because you rejected me.
Hey, Titty, you got to be a little more specific than that. I think pretty much everyone except for your mother and a handful of simps on YouTube have rejected you. So who are you talking about?
As a human being, I've been rejected. I've been ostracized and persecuted for the wrong reasons, for vocalizing my opinions. Not that I actually acted out on these things, not that I actually fulfilled those demonic, curses that I placed upon other people.
I think you are the curse.
No, it's going to come back tenfold on them. That's how it works. And the funny thing is people thought, oh, she can't believe in all these different aspects. If she believes in witchcraft, then she's part of the devil's cult. No, that's not true. Not at all. Divination is a part of Christianity.
The word divination is in the Bible, but it's not a good thing.
And there are plenty of things that people understand. Me making contact with animals, that's not demonic. Not at all.
No, it's not. It's delusional.
I literally save things from dying.
In hours of footage that I have reviewed, I have never heard you once tell a story of when you saved the life of anything. In fact, I've heard quite the opposite. 8 puppies in a freezer? 8? In the freezer? In a bag? What? You kill things. You're a killer.
I have saved things from dying, and you're going to tell me that I'm clearly the one that's deranged? That I'm clearly the one that's in the wrong? Not anymore.
But you clearly are.
I'm over it. I'm completely over it. I had a discussion with my mother this morning where she said, I went to every court proceeding for you when you were incarcerated for 2 months, and you went to a psychiatric hospital for a month in between, and they kept promising you a home. They kept promising you a bed here and there. And she said, I kept going to these proceedings. You've driven my mother crazy. You've driven my mother crazy in the sense of she really thought that it was all me. She really thought because of the criminal record that I was compiling due to your misguided efforts, your misinformed data that you've driven her mad. You've driven her to the point where she doesn't even get out of her pajamas most days because she doesn't know how to deal with the world because her children are constantly being harassed by the authorities.
Or, hear me out, it could be that she just has really shitty kids that keep getting in trouble with the law, and that she's basically, oh, I don't know, in such denial that she has basically given up and is depressed and mopes around in her pajamas all day because she's a failure and an incompetent mother, clearly.
And she doesn't understand why either.
Because she's trying to share in your delusion, and it makes no sense.
Because majority of the time I was always very law-abiding.
So you just broke the law some of the time.
I made sure to, keep things on the up and up in that way to make sure that I didn't have anything trailing behind me that I might need to seek repentance for, seek some type of forgiveness for, because my Catholicism had me to the point of not necessarily fear from God, but love in that way, understanding what true love is, and that is repentance, that is people that make amends with what they've done wrong and stop living in denial.
Yeah, when's the last time that you repented or asked for forgiveness for anything in your life?
And like through psychology, I understood this in science, and some people were saying, oh, that's the devil. It is not the devil to understand yourself. It's not the devil to understand others. It's not the devil to read minds in that way. Because throughout my life, I kept everything to myself. Throughout my life, even when I would discuss things when I first went to therapy, I couldn't discuss what was truly going on at home because I was being told by my parents, if you speak up about these things, we will kill you.
If only.
My mother came into the room. She said I should have killed you when I had the opportunity.
Oh, you mean the one that's letting you live in her house and letting you eat her food and taking care of you and putting up your bond and all of the good things that she's done for you lately? Yeah, that person. Here's what I think the conversation was like. I think she walked in your room, and I think that she was trying to tell you that she had regrets for having gotten pregnant with you, and that she probably wanted to get an abortion at the time. I think that's what was said. I don't think she said she wanted to kill you or that she wished you were dead. But I think she does now because everyone's getting sick of your shit.
Yeah. Can she get in trouble for these things? No. There's nothing. And even, my psychologist, and now, he even mentioned about, well, can't you put your father away? Well, I tried when I was 18, and they refused to do any of the processing, so apparently he's just all out and about.
Well, that sounds vague enough.
And that's actually finally okay with me, to the sense where when I needed assistance, he actually reached out and he was able to offer the financial backing like he's done with my other siblings.
So he raped you as a kid, but he is okay now because he gave you money, and that makes up for it.
He's never afforded for me since I was raised. Since I was kicked out of the home at 17 years old, I've not asked my father for much of anything. And he knows that, and he understands that, because I didn't want to take his dirty, filthy money. I didn't want to take, any pedophilic money in that way of like, okay, yeah, you fondled me as a child. I don't deserve money. I deserve respect.
Yeah, so respect is earned, not deserved. It's earned. And also, your dad, after doing that to you, you should have had no contact with him at all. I wouldn't. I mean, the fact that you're still okay with him and you take his money now, it's just really kind of indicative that maybe he didn't really do all the things you said he did. Maybe.
That's exactly what it is. And instead of people realizing where I'm coming from, realizing that I'm actually very, down to earth. I haven't been seeking any gains from any of this, no financial gains. I haven't sought anything.
I want to get paid for the shit that I deserve again. I should be getting paid a shit ton of fucking money right now.
Because if I did, I would have actually proceeded in finding a way to fuck every one of you. So, and they understand that. It was Judge Ohms that was my judge for that time, so he was misinformed and misguided. He didn't know who he was dealing with, and he didn't know, that the Lord watches everything. The Lord sees all. And the way that you've mistreated me, and the way that you've mistreated a female, a mother, that was just trying to get back to her child in any way she could because she didn't have the financial means to fight in court. So what did I do? I took voluntary parenting classes. I took voluntary anger management classes. It's all on record. Everything's on file. Yet I haven't been offered back the things that I deserve and belong to me, like my pets, like a home, like a nice new vehicle that's already paid for, like all these things. I haven't been seeking any gains from any of this, no financial gains. I haven't sought anything. It would be nice to have everything that I ever wanted.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you worked for a living.
And I went and I removed every single thing from the registry because I knew that these people were just manipulating me in some way, some facet.
Yeah, figured it out, did you?
I went through one by one and removed, the purchase mark because I don't trust you. I don't trust any of you. I have no idea who you are. I have no idea. Even the judge, I placed all of my faith in you, Judge Ohms. I placed all of my fucking faith. And what did you do? You decided that the man deserved more than the woman. You decided that because I was unstable due to the fact that you shot me up, your authorities under you shot me up with so many psychiatric medications, and that's what you had on film, was a woman freaking out because you weren't listening to her. So who's truly harassing whose communication at this point?
Communications isn't an object that can be harassed, you moron. You were harassing via means of communication. Do you not understand your own charges, or how to speak, or how fucking English works? God, you're so fucking stupid.
Tell me, who's truly harassing whom?
You.
Because all I see is that I've been trying all these years, and even my mother said, I've noticed that you have been trying, when these certain occurrences happened, you went off and you tried to better yourself. And I told her, I said, I know. That's why I know when they went into my home and they saw the copious amounts of religious memorabilia.
Religious memorabilia? Catholicism isn't a sport, hun.
The rosaries, the candles, and everything, that I was trying to protect myself from the authorities, from their demonic forces, because I realized I couldn't trust anybody. I placed my faith in the judicial system here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I was not granted any leniency whatsoever. They said, oh, we could keep her in there for a year. Do you realize the repercussions of abusing an innocent person, an innocent disabled individual, mind you, that doesn't necessarily even know what the hell is up and down at the certain instances of time because of the trauma that I've sustained throughout all these years and dealing with the authorities as well.
I think that she forgot that her run-on sentence was a question about what the repercussions are of doing whatever has happened to her as an innocent person. It's basically just her trying to give an excuse for any kind of bad behavior because of oh well, it's just because of this. It's a reaction to this injustice, this great injustice that has been done upon me. But in reality, you're just going to take it. You wore the turtle suit. You went in isolation. You let them, have their way with you. So you're going to take it, and it's coming.
Well, I never thought that I would have to have that fear. I always just offered them the benefit of the doubt in that way, to go along with them. Whatever you say is okay. When that fellatio happened, I started losing hope and faith in humanity.
Could you stop calling it fellatio and just call it getting your dick sucked or sucking dick? I mean, half the world likes getting it done to them. The other half likes doing it. So can we move on?
That mental health is extremely important when it comes to being part of the criminal, judicial systems in that way. If you've been doing things that are shady or backhanded, and even though I haven't smoked in a couple of days, I had very little, and I was literally smoking ashes just now.
Why bother?
Because I was trying to keep myself in my state of sober, you know?
No, I don't. What the fuck does that even mean?
In my state of being connected with this world. Because when I detach and I don't smoke medicinal marijuana, I will lay there for days. I won't brush my teeth. I won't be active with the world around me. I won't leave my home. They knew. I was so agoraphobic that I didn't leave my home, and I lived there for 10 years because of all the trauma, because they didn't see it from my perspective, because nobody fought for me. Because when that divorce hearing happened and I didn't show up, that was a clear red flag that I was not being told the proper, how to fight.
I mean, to the judicial system, it was a clear sign you didn't care.
I was not being informed by the judicials, by, anybody, any of these, attorneys. There was nobody sent to me as a disabled citizen to understand, why is this divorce happening? I don't get it. I didn't understand it. What do you mean? And then I didn't know she was taken from me. I had no idea that I was signing over my rights.
Gotta read what you sign.
And then all of a sudden they had a signature on that divorce decree.
Your signature.
Which, do you understand, is illegal because you used falsified documents. You used a document that was not notarized. You don't know if I signed that or not. You have hearsay.
Well, according to what you say, I mean, they have video surveillance of you doing it, so I mean, that should work, right? According to you.
Because you heard from so-and-so, you said, okay, we don't want to get anybody else in trouble for forgery, so we're just going to go ahead and say that she signed this and she's clearly okay with divorcing and clearly okay. No, we didn't have counseling. You looked at him like he was the victim.
But he was the victim.
He left me with 2 loaded guns.
Well, that's awful nice. I wish my ex-wife left me that much.
Knowing that I had had prior suicide attempts. Who's the dangerous one truly? Who's the one that is the psychopath? Who's the one in this situation that truly wanted harm to come to the other person? And like I've clearly demanded, he should be dead, my ex-husband. Because I hit him in the head with a goddamn saucepan.
Yeah, that's called domestic violence. You were violent. You could have killed him.
Yeah, he deserved it. He shouldn't have been fucking me in my sleep.
Why is it that that's always what happens? It's always the situation. God, my ex used to love it when I did that.
That's marital abuse. That's marital rape.
Yeah, some might call it a nice way to wake up.
So, when I tried to speak up about this stuff, nobody heard me. Nobody listened to me. Nobody believed me.
If they weren't listening, then how could they choose to believe you or not? I think they just didn't believe you.
Yet, it's something that goes on and on in my brain. It just revolves because nothing has been solved.
No, it's been solved. It's just not in your favor.
Do you understand? I can't complete my puzzle without all the pieces.
I think you lit some of those pieces on fire and trampled them and then threw them in the toilet and flushed it. I think that might have been what happened to those puzzle pieces.
So I'm going insane. I'm going crazy. It's like being trapped in a psych ward out in this real world.
Thank you, Ronald Reagan! Your legacy is intact!
And everybody is stealing pieces and eating them or shitting on them.
Well, then don't put your puzzle pieces in the toilet, silly.
Or fornicating with them. I don't need my pieces randomly dispersed for everyone to fucking manipulate. Alright?
Oh, I believe your pieces have been randomly dispersed to enough people already.
So, when I started gathering my pieces again, and I started collecting myself and gathering my few belongings that I had, I still kept getting stolen from.
Yeah, what's more believable? That nuns at a Catholic women's shelter were stealing your clothing, or you just misplaced it? I think you just misplaced it. I don't think anyone was stealing anything from you.
And I thought, God, why are you doing this to me? Why? Why is this happening? Why in God's name is everyone that is demonic still able to hurt me and harm me? And I realized it was just on me. It was my own psychosis in that way to believe that these people mattered, to believe that these material belongings mattered, to believe that finances mattered. So for a couple of years, I lived out of my vehicle. Nearly 2 years, I lived out of my vehicle. And what did I do? I didn't get in trouble. I went off to restaurants. I went to do things that I wanted to do to make myself happy for once, because I've not ever gotten that privilege in my entire life. I've never been that privileged. I've never been that prissy and posh, and I wanted to go off and do these things. I wanted to dress nicely. I wanted to be taken to dinners. I wanted to be, spoiled in that way. And I finally had a little bit of that. And then I got pregnant, and I was forced to just stop. I couldn't afford for myself. I couldn't offer my services as a companion.
Or you could look at it as an opportunity to learn from a very, selfish and irresponsible thing that you did, and I don't know, maybe also to take a hint from God that maybe this is not the right path for you. That maybe being a whore isn't the best thing for you. But maybe that's all that's left.
Because if it's completely platonic, I don't see the issue with it. If somebody's looking for physical contact and I have what they want, which is my body in that way.
There is nothing, and I repeat, nothing platonic about cuddling. Cuddling is code, okay? There's really nobody out there looking to just cuddle. Do you understand that, right? Most of your cuddle sessions didn't turn out to be so platonic, now did they? Oh, and count it.
In that way. Selling my body. And people don't even realize I didn't fornicate with any of these men.
Oh yeah? Didn't? Not one? And stop calling it fornication or copulation or all these fucking long 3-4 adjective words that you use to try to make yourself sound smarter, and just say having sex. You are so sexually fixated. It's insane that you're so stupid when it comes to the topic. It's you're immature. You have no grasp of subtlety or nuance. You're so stupid when it comes to the topic, and yet you're so sexualized.
People start making stories up, and they start, swaying others to believe perceptions of me that aren't correct.
Letitia, 99% of everything that we know about you comes directly from your words, from your videos. So if anyone's misconstruing anything, it's probably you in your own head.
I'm not that devious person or deceptive person, that everybody's trying to convey me as. I'm not. I'm actually a very sweet, kind-hearted person, and when I'm met individually, I try to see somebody as an individual as opposed to what they truly are, manipulative liars.
Yeah, I give everyone a fair chance, but, really when it comes down to it, they're all, manipulative liars. Everyone. No, it's everyone. Just everyone else is the manipulative liar. It's not you. You're not the manipulative liar at all.
So, I know I've met some very important people throughout my life, and they can vouch for my character.
No, you don't. If you did, you'd have doxed them already. I would have already known their name, their date of birth, address, social security number. You're awful.
There are plenty of people that I've met throughout my travels that could vouch for my true demeanor and my character and how poised I am at times of stress.
Name one.
And how articulate I've become due to the fact that I'm no longer on any psychiatric medications, due to the fact that I'm not on any pharmaceuticals aside from medicinal marijuana. So my story is actually a positive one in that way, where I've gathered and I've collected myself, and a lot of the things that I say are out of aggravation, because these are true thoughts that go on in other people's heads that I relay. These are true thoughts that go on in my head due to the fact that other people believe these sick, distorted, perceptions. And I just try to relay my life as best I can so people can understand that the judicials did not take proper steps into taking care of me. Instead, they threw me to the wolves by knowing that I had no home, knowing that I was a single woman, and I had warned everyone. I said, well, if I can't get housing, if you're going to give me an allotment of $475 and there are no places around here for that amount, they're all $550 or more. They told me they couldn't help me. I freaked out. I couldn't do it. By the time I ended up out of the hospital, it was a few days after it had expired, the voucher for a housing, for the anywhere here in Hot Springs. And I asked them for an extension. They refused. They said that I had to be on the waiting list for another year. So I decided I wouldn't place efforts into their trash, lowly systems. I wouldn't wait for that. I demand more. I demand compensation for all the trauma and the pain and the suffering and the distorted criminal record that you have placed upon me, because that's what God says. God says to speak up. God says to protect myself.
Okay, so let's start with this. You've relayed all the information. You've laid it all out over many hours, over many videos on YouTube. How's it working out for you? Are you getting the reaction, the results that you were looking for? Is it benefiting you at all? I don't really think it is. I think that what you're experiencing right now is the result of a bogus story. Maybe not all bogus, but a lot of it is fabricated. A lot of it's massaged into what you want it to be, into your narrative, and not what reality is. Also, God is there as a defender for those who are righteous, but he doesn't tell you that you need to protect yourself. He is the defender. He is your protector. You know what I mean? Like, you're not righteous, so he's your enemy.
The funny thing is that's why I've been able to expose my story in such a way, in such an extravagant way as well, to be able to go to different locations, not be harassed. I've not done anything to any of those communities whatsoever, aside from offering back to them, offering back to their low lives, the scumbags that live off the street, because that's all they treat them as, instead of recognizing that they had hardships that were so immense in their life that they couldn't gather their puzzle pieces anymore. So they had to start stealing or taking from others because they didn't have that luxury of having a home. They didn't have that luxury of having family, and they pushed all their family away because they were going through mental illness. It's all based upon that. It's not about being a criminal or doing things that are, fucked up and evil. It's about you not realizing that you need help. It's about them not realizing that you need that mental help. And I sought it. I've been seeking it since I was a child to understand the world around me, and that's why I'm overly educated. Because I took advanced courses in high school, bitch. That's why I know too much. That's why I didn't finish my education, because I realized financially I couldn't sustain it. So I had to back down. I had to lower my standards. Because I took advanced courses in high school, bitch. Which was sad for me, because I wanted to go to university. I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be part of that upper crust that was knowledgeable and had all of these ties into the different communities. I wanted to be just like the judges. I wanted to be just like everyone else in that way. The people that were higher up, that knew not to demand too much of others. But some of these people in those higher positions take advantage of people like me, physically, sexually, psychologically, emotionally, gaslighting people like me. Yeah, you can have a home if you go seek it. It's out there. I've looked for the resources. They're not out there. Not for anyone right now, especially during, COVID at this time.
That is such obvious bullshit, and you know it.
That's why I had prepared. That's why I even had so much stockpiled food in my home. That's why, even with my dogs and everything, I knew that I would have been able to maintain, because a companion animal
shouldn't be suffocated in a freezer.
That is a luxury that some people can afford, because they understand that that companion animal is going to be with them day and night.
Do not eat the companion animal, Letitia.
And it's going to offer them the love that they were not allotted in life. So that's what I was doing, offering love and compassion to this local community. And what did they do? They ripped those dogs away from me.
Good.
And I wasn't hurting them. They all had their shots. Even with the time where I'd gotten in trouble for the rabies, my dogs didn't leave the home aside from being with me, and I made sure that they were always sustained and taken care of.
Well, yeah, except for them getting rabies.
So they understand. I am a proper citizen in that way, that I listen, I comply to a certain extent, until I realize how irrational they're being, and how much they're just pinpointing and targeting me for no reason.
No, there is a reason.
The fact that I've become a mother, I was forced to breastfeed in that way. Forced. I offered it freely because I loved her. I loved her more than life itself. That's why I went on this rampage of setting up videos and trying to seek her out, because that was the only thing on my mind, the only thing in my heart, because I'd already lost all my poodles. I wanted to expose what I truly am, who I truly am.
And boy, did you ever.
I was under the guise.
Yeah, you were. Oh, you mean you were under the impression
That inevitably you would fix these things.
Who? And fix what?
And the fact that you, in the, Supreme Court's ruled that abortion is not a viable option anymore.
No, the Supreme Court just made it for the states to be able to decide on whether or not they want to legalize it.
That's profoundly disgusting. Profoundly disgusting that you would remove the opportunity for a woman's expansion. Because if she ends up becoming a mother and she's not prepared for it, if she's too young, if it's been forced upon her, like myself.
Oh, wow, that's a really nice hot take on an issue that you completely mischaracterized, but yeah.
I don't trust that you understand that this is a $1 billion lawsuit, and then some. So you were looking at me as though I was a criminal, when in actuality I'm a holistic healer in that way. And I healed myself, lost 150 pounds, 155 pounds approximately. And I'd gotten down to 155 pounds, and that's when I wanted to share my story, and guess what happened? A man forced himself upon me when I was sleeping.
Well, after reading all the texts and seeing what kind of flirtatious behavior and insinuation was happening prior to that, given that context, it really does look very hard for you to say he forced himself upon you when you were pushing your ass up against his cock, and he just made the first move, okay? So you liked it, and it happened twice, and you were already pregnant with someone else's, cum that you had inside of you from another session.
That's what happened. So when I tried to speak up about it, you didn't want to listen. Instead, you wanted to reprimand me more harshly. Why? So I can get more money out of this in the long run? So that I can prepare for this child, so I can afford for it in every need it fucking has, and also get my daughter back? I pray to God you understand that I need my children.
You mean the child that you're about to have that you don't want any part of, and that you blame the existence on because of a rape that you made up?
I pray to God you understand that it's not about the fathers, because they are lowlifes. They are scum. They are worse than the bacteria that festers in cesspools. Do you understand that? That's not drinking water. You need to shove these beings where they belong for a while. Maybe reprimand them. Maybe shove them in a psychiatric hospital. Maybe shove them, in jail for a while so that they can understand from my perspective how much I had to suffer for those many months in fucking jail. For what? Being wrongfully detained?
No, for trespassing, violating court orders, and for just generally being a gigantic cunt.
Because I told everyone I didn't do it. I didn't harm anybody. I didn't do anything. What are you doing?
Hey, you hear that? Case closed.
Yet here I am. I found an outlet. I finally found my form of therapy, which is calling everyone out on their distortions.
Yeah? How's it been going?
Which I've said, I don't have a doctorate yet. Because I took advanced courses in high school, bitch. But I clearly am knowledgeable enough to seek it out. I'm clearly knowledgeable enough, if I were to have the time, the efforts, the, financial backing, I would have had these things already.
If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, you'd have gobbled them all up by now.
And that's also clearly stated when I had written out these papers for my psychologist, because he wanted to know exactly what I had gone through in my life. So I placed it on here.
Why have you still not changed your name legally? Like, I don't understand. You've been divorced from Brandon for how long, and you still have his last name? And not even the name in the parentheses. You're using your maiden name and putting that in the parentheses for a form that you're handing out to your psychologist. That's fucking weird. I don't get it. It's you have these weird attachment issues with men, and it's like with Jason Wallace and Brandon Collins and plethora of other men that you've gotten attached to. You just have this fixation on them, like you won't let something go.
I accomplished this within a 4-day span, but I didn't work on it but 2 days for a few hours. Because this is all me. This is my true story. This is where I have been. This is what I've done. This is my accomplishments in life, which is not much. I know that my psychological well-being has been wavering. You know, my stability has been wavering because nobody fucking wants to see it from my perspective. Nobody wants to see what's truly there.
Do you see? Do you see? Yes, yes, I see!
What is clearly there. And the abuse, everything. So that's my life right there. I did that in the span of a few hours total. I would say I didn't spend any more than 6 hours approximately on all of that.
Is that supposed to be like some grand accomplishment? I mean, it just really comes off as insecure to like brag about something so mundane as printing out a Word document about your life.
He wanted it in that format where he said that he wanted a timeline, but he wanted it horizontally. So I found a template on PowerPoint, and that's how I managed that. Because I'm resourceful, because I find the means to figure things out when I need to, just like my family members. And that's what makes us a little bit different than some people that have been given too much in their life. When you have very little, you learn to become resourceful.
Oh, we all know how resourceful you are.
Just like a lot of these homeless people, just like a lot of the fact that I wanted to be homeless so that I could live that lifestyle, so I could understand how painful it is for them to have to be ostracized and persecuted at every turn. And the authorities made sure to pound that into me, especially when I would seek out their help, and they had that refusal of help because they were told by their superiors that they could not help me in such a way because I had to manage on my own to see how things turned out. Well, I need help here and there. Sometimes I can't do it all on my own. I have to seek the community of others, to seek the, seek the communal resources of others, like my mother. I feel terrible that, I'm even here. I feel terrible that I'm taking from her resources in order to sustain myself and this life growing inside of me.
Then go.
And I'm thinking, why? Why is this happening?
Why is this happening?
And I understood that it was a way of me reconciling with my family. It was a way for me to understand and to share with them what my accomplishments have been.
Oh, your many accomplishments.
You literally have negated my struggles, negated my words, negated my trauma, because you believed I was trying to manipulate something in order to have some type of financial gain. That's not what I'm seeking.
I want to get paid for the shit that I deserve again.
Money is the devil, and you understand that because you've had so much of it. You've become corrupt. You've become overwhelmingly spoiled within yourselves and your luxuries. Overwhelmingly, privileged in that way, to where others believe they want to be like you. I thought I wanted to be like you for a long time. I did. But if it comes with being a psychopath, I'd prefer to pass.
Okay.
No one understands when I had my reactive abuse, when I was reacting to the abuse, they called that the actual abuse. Like it stemmed from nothing. Like I had just pulled it out of nowhere. Pulled it out of my ass. I'm just going to go and hit you. No. It doesn't work like that with Leticia because she's had too many years of therapy. She understands. Keep your hands and feet and dick to myself.
What?
You know?
No.
I keep my privates to myself, majority of the time.
Come on.
I wanted to offer it as a strong, independent woman, to go around and to own my sexuality and to, flaunt it in some ways so that I could get what other ladies got.
Pregnant?
So the fact that you've been rejected doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. The fact that you are, forced to have to endure certain hardships, that's not the end of the world. Believe me, I could have been eating out of trash cans. I chose not to because I knew that if I spoke to certain people, they would have the hearts. They would be godly enough to help afford for me in that way. I know my worth, and it's not underneath every man. It's underneath one, and that's how it's been. Like, I've been seeking one,
Several ones.
and I haven't gotten that allotment yet. So I pray that he's still out there, because all of a sudden, like, I've got all these hardships and nobody wants to take them on because they feel like I'm the issue, and I'm thinking, no,
Yes, you indeed are the issue.
no, you're the issue for having no compassion. You're the issue for just wanting to fornicate, and that's it. You're the issue for just seeing me as an object. You're the issue for seeing me as a sexual being as opposed to what I truly am. A human being. We shouldn't be second-class citizens to you. We shouldn't be underneath you in that way. We should be equals, and that's how it should be. You think that by financing us that it's supposed to help us realize you're the ones that own us? No. I would rather be dead. That's why I went off on my journey. That's why I went off until I was forced back into my mother's home by you people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our fault.
I'm sick and tired of this.
Thank God. Yeah, me too. Can we just cut to the chase?
As much as we don't own anything, I still want my daughter. I need her. There's a difference.
Yeah, because that's healthy.
And you know what? It's time for me to shine. It's time for me to be, no longer accosted or defiled or defeated in that way. It's time for me to be exalted so I can share my words and my findings with the world, so that I can express to people, guess what? These additives and things, these toxic things, these behaviors, these are not necessary. If you want a life that is beneficial for yourself and the world around you, if you want it positive, if you want to go in a certain direction, these are the alterations that you'll need to do in order to access that type of stability and peace in your life, that equilibrium, that balance that you need. And everybody flounders at times. They falter. It's natural. It's normal for that. I did it. I had to see it to believe it. I had to live it to learn it. That's how it goes. So the destruction of my being was actually beneficial. The destruction and removal of everything was beneficial. The fact that I have this child inside of me, I don't hold any malice toward the child.
Yes, I'm going to hurt the baby.
But has it held malice due to the fact that others have forced it upon me? Yes. He has been overwhelmingly stressed. His chemistry has been altered due to all of the stress and the cortisol I was releasing. So, I understand he's in danger, but not by me.
Yes, I'm going to hurt the baby.
But I knew from the very beginning. I knew he was special in that way. And that's kind of hard because I know that I talk nicely about these people at the same time as wanting to rip their fucking dicks off and shove them in their mouths. But I know that it's just their stupidity. They don't understand their primal urges. They don't understand their natural instincts in that way. They're confused because they don't understand psychology and science. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I gave him some time to think it over before I processed it, the rape. And I gave him a week. He had no response. He had no response but to leave me in the dirt and to get as far away from me as possible.
Good for him.
Because he thought that I was the one that was clinically insane.
How silly of him.
Yet, we all know, it's the other way around.
Oh yeah, is that what all the comments that you keep deleting are saying?
Only a psychopath could do what he had done and then just leave a woman. You don't just fornicate and ejaculate inside of a woman and expect that nothing will come of it.
You do if you're with someone who's not crazy.
You should always be there to make sure within that couple weeks' time, oh shit, you got your period? Okay, I'm out. At the very least. Gaslight them for at least that long so that at least there's no child involved. Now there's another soul. There's another life. This is a new life. This could have been something positive. This could have been something positive for the both of us, and yet it's something that is bringing us both to our knees. Both, in that way. He's going to be brought to his knees. He's going to be brought to justice. I'm going to make sure of it. There's no way that I could let this child go without a father, without all of these things, and not stand up for him. Because even though everyone presumes I'm the one hurting him, you are. You're the one forcing all this stress on me. You're the one that is telling me I can't smoke medicinal marijuana. You're the one that's telling me all these things that are altering my chemistry, causing me to freak out, causing me to be in pain, causing him to be in pain. So who's truly the one damaging this child? I would say the U.S. government at this point, because they're not listening to the mother whatsoever. That's a violation of my constitutional rights, and I've already been preaching about that. I had to learn about it. It would be a violation of my freedom of speech in cutting these videos out. It would be a violation of my freedoms, doing all these things, and yet I was still incarcerated. I was the one that was detained. That's horrifying. I feel sad for the people involved, because you will get your karma. And whatever you believe, karma, what goes around comes around. In the perspective, you reap what you sow. Yeah, all these things, different dialects, different cultures, all the same concepts. People don't realize that. And like I was telling people about the higher beings that come from the sky. In every culture, there's depictions. We all know that energy is there. We all know that these beings are there. We all know that these people control us too, even on this plane, and they're humans. And now we have electronics to help us do that, so that they can have access to our homes 24/7. They can have access to us 24/7. They can have, in our phones, everything we discuss, everywhere we go, every contaminant that we interact with, so they know exactly who they're dealing with, whom they're dealing with. So I pray everybody has a wonderful weekend, because it's already Thursday. Tomorrow I'll be 32 weeks along. I pray that this is all over soon, and that you justify what's gone on, and you understand that I am due for some compensation, some retribution in that way. They were pretty. I wanted to be pretty for a minute.
And there it is, folks. Letitia is so shallow that this whole thing has just been about her wanting to look and feel pretty so that she could land the guy of her dreams and have everything she ever wanted. The fact of the matter is, she is ugly on the inside. That just makes everything on the outside that much worse. And the honest fact of it is that she'll probably die alone, or with some kind of crazy situation at hand. She's pretty much destined for despair, and a lot of it is just brought upon herself. So until next time, you guys take care.
Yes, I have HPV. I got it from being a slut.